Hello guys, and welcome to another video. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed that little intro. I definitely had a lot of fun shooting it. And without further ado, let's get into sculpting this amazing dragon for 3D printing. I'm not joking guys, I spent between the dragon and the video and recording this voiceover and everything probably more than 40 hours. So thank you so much for following the channel. Make sure you share this if you like it, subscribe, like the video, all of that good things. And yeah, let's get into the process. Right now you can see I'm really starting from scratch. Just a sphere for the head, a cube for the arms, and just deforming things so that I can get the blocking staged right. And to be honest, that's most of the heavy lifting, getting the main proportions, the silhouette, and then detailing. It's just time consuming, but I would argue that this is the harder part of creating a model from scratch. Now I thought that this would be a great opportunity to show you the whole process. A lot of you have been asking in the comments to show the blocking stages of a model. Sometimes I use base meshes, but that would be mostly for humanoid characters or yeah, something that looks like a human. So for a dragon, it made more sense for me to start from scratch rather than using a human base mesh and then just modifying it until it looked like a dragon. I could have, but it would have also taken a lot of time, and I guess in hindsight I could have looked for a dragon base mesh, but I don't know, it just felt a little bit better to do it this way and tackle two things at the same time. I could like do it like this, which I enjoy a lot even though it's time consuming, and show you guys the complete process of a character. And probably you already know about this, but in case you don't, we upload free models to our Gumroad. Today I'll be releasing a new one from the Frostlands collection, so make sure you check that out. I'll leave the description in the link below. Now back to the model. I know that some of you already have seen a little bit of this character in a previous video where I showed you how I sculpted the head, which was like a challenge in itself. I did spend a lot of time in the head exploring different things. You can go check that video out. I'll also leave the link in the description below, or better yet, you can just click here on the top right corner. And the challenge afterwards was to translate and to take that mood or that style into the whole character, not just the face. You can see me here working on the face. It's obviously not going to be as detailed as that other video, but you can get a good idea of what I'm talking about. Like, I'm trying different shapes, trying the asymmetry in the teeth, certain language or shape language for parts like the tongue and how the jaw looks and the silhouette, and then bringing that to the whole character is challenging but quite fun as well. I know that it's pretty early on the model to be working on detail or textures, but I really wanted to figure out like what these horns would look like in 3D or what material they would made of. So I did this small part, the horns, just to figure out like what am I going for with the rest of the model. What do I have to do with the rest of the pieces to match this material so that it looks cohesive and that there's some repetition and it looks nice in general. Exaggeration is a big part of our style. We try to have our characters be very exaggerated in their shapes and very whimsical. So the T-pose tool is very useful to me so that I can like exaggerate some of these poses. Now that I have posed the character, I had like pretty serious crashes with the model. I had to do a lot of cleanup, so that's why you saw the jump there between some of the more blocking stages to here where I'm already working on some of the detail. ZBrush kept crashing on me and I had to do a lot to fix the geometry. It was pretty dirty, especially because of the parts of the wings that are too close together from both sides. So dynameshing and making sure there were no inner bubbles took literally a long time. It probably took like more than 6 hours just on that part of fixing the wings. I could be comfortable enough with going back to recording my screen because I didn't know if like OBS was causing these crashes along with ZBrush. I was like asking too much from my old laptop, but in the end it was just like bad geometry. I ended up resolving it that way and could go back to recording my screen for you guys without worrying too much about my computer exploding or just ZBrush crashing again. At this point, I'm working on transitions. I already have most of the parts that I have here. And by the way, I did spend a lot of time sculpting that hair on the back and the tail. I did it all by hand. I feel like that's the best way to do it. I can get it exactly how I want it. It does take time, but I mean, there's no other way around it. I've tried brushes, I've tried different things. Maybe for the blocking part, it does help, but for me, there's nothing like making it by hand. And now I'm trying to translate this fine detail that I did on the face to everything else. Like you see here that I'm working on the hands and the arms, and I'm not only posing them, but trying to get this language of shapes that I already did on the face to different parts. So you see the really pointy fingers with the nails and very dynamic pose in those fingers as well. Now at this point there's obviously no symmetry, so I did have to sculpt both arms separately, trying my best to make them look right, like they're like part of the same creature. It just takes time. It's not that hard, but it does take time. And polishing some of the details like the wings, I'm trying to get like a nicer connection from the membrane to that like rigid part of the wing, some more detail and skin texture to the arms, trying to make sure it matches the rest of the body. All of these little things really make it pop, and you can see it in the final print. It just looks very nice, and I'm pretty sure once you prime this and then dry brush it, all of these like smaller details on the skin will really pop on this sculpt. At this point, I'm not too worried about like silhouette or the main shapes or anything. I'm trying to not leave anything behind, trying to make sure that all the different pieces are taken to the same level of detail so that it all looks like it belongs to the same thing. And I personally find this part of the process very, very relaxing. It's time consuming, so but it's also not like mentally draining. So you can pop in some music. Maybe if you have a second monitor, you can put like a movie. I like to put on movies that I already saw in the past so that I don't have to pay much attention, but to have like that as a background, I guess, or just music or tutorials, maybe other YouTubers. In short, I just try to make an environment that's very relaxing and that I can really spend the time without feeling that I need to rush through this, so that I'm sure that I'm paying enough attention to every single part and every single detail of the model. Now this part is quite fun for me, which is like creating the pegs and keying the model. And you've seen me done this in the past. I don't like to just add the pegs like spheres or cubes or like a pyramid and then just leave it like that. I like to have a nice seam and a nice transition between the pieces so that one of the pieces hugs the other one and it almost looks seamless, or it's easier for you to make it look seamless, maybe with a little putty to fill the gap, or a little bit of resin to do the same. That's why I spend so much like thinking about this. And this is not even the final version of it. When I 3D printed this, the test print was so hard to glue together. Like the wings wouldn't stay in place because they were too heavy. So I ended coming back like a day after and fixing all those issues, making longer pegs, especially for the legs, the arms, and the wings. And the newer test prints came out so good. It just fits right into place. They stay well together, and gluing, it's really a breeze. But But yeah, I'm not even joking if I say that ZBrush crashed more than 20 times in this process. And that's because like making the Boolean meshes and subtracting like limbs from the main body, it was so much geometry that my computer couldn't handle it. So I ended up like doing this like probably 3 times because it just kept crashing and crashing. So I would have to save like every step of the way. I would subtract one part and then save, and then subtract another one and then save again, just because I didn't want to keep losing like work over and over. Now I'm just making sure that everything's in the correct spot, nothing's intersecting, so that when I print this, it can actually stand by itself and pieces can fit together. I'm making sure that the scale is correct, which physically when I 3D printed this, it kind of looked a little bit small, so I ended up like making it bigger afterwards. So the final version, the one that's going to be released, it's a little bigger than this one, and it's even better because you can see all those details on the skin just more easily than if it was a smaller. And as usual, first test print was done on the Form 3. I auto-supported everything just for the sake of time. It got pre-supported properly later on Cheetahbox, so don't worry. And remember that if you like this model, there's a whole collection that goes with it on our monthly Patreon thing, so make sure you check us out on Patreon. I'll leave the link below. For some reason, I felt that printing the 2 wings together wasn't a great idea. Maybe it could get like the resin not flowing enough in the print and cause some issues, so I decided to separate them and have the rest of the pieces be on the center. I did print everything at once and crossed fingers, and after 20 hours it did came out all right. You can see me here, the setup that I used to photograph the intro that you saw. I'm gonna show it here again in a little bit, so don't worry. But yeah, this is how the print came out, and this is the test print, so I'm super happy with how this looks, even happier with the final version. I think you guys are gonna love it. I think your players are gonna love it. I'm really thinking about how can I make an encounter for our sessions with this guy, because I think he's an absolute beast, and players would freak out if they would have to fight him. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much. I'll leave you again with the nice shots, so enjoy.